race car today. Hell yeah. 1992 Isuzu Pickup. Totally rust free. Exhaust ratchet strapped to the frame. Not really anymore. Solid. $126,000 original miles. Not on the frame, just the motor. E-brake. You don't need an e-brake. That's your e-brake. Shift boots are also optional. First crank every time. Ventilation is always required because the exhaust leaks like a bitch. Just loyal. Can't kill it. E-brake on. Okay. So start off with the good. 3.1 GM V6. Freshly re-gasketed, not rebuilt. Lower end is original. The cab, engine, transmission, and bed are a 92. But the frame, which is actually clean, not that. I painted the back while I had it apart, but that is an 89 pickup. This pile of shit over here. This cab and that bed in the back I bought for $500. Had a 2.6 4-cylinder. This one is also four-wheel drive. Well, this is the original frame off of that 92. Can you tell why I did what I did? Yeah. Pretty crusty. This cab is actually pretty straight. But I don't have a title for this. No motor, no trans. That's at my buddy's house. Brake lines are all just garbage. I have the fender. Interior smells like, well, exactly what you'd think it'd smell like. That's the carpet out of the 92. But yeah, this thing will come back to life one day, but not anytime soon, probably. This side is pretty, well, it's the lighter chassis option. Give it a couple more years, this thing will be split in half. A carrier bearing, or the cross member, is also just garbage. Rust jacking on the cross member there, that's the trans mount. And there's no cab mounts in this either, so it's just kind of floating there. It's exhaust. So yeah, took the best of both trucks and put it into one. Interior is actually pretty nice. New carpet. The bed is okay. It's got some rust spots, but underside is pretty bad. That bed is actually pretty straight too. This is a 4x4 as well, this frame. So the issue with this swap, I'll put some pictures up of when I did it, but this cab is a US made cab, or the VIN says it's US manufactured, which is why it has a GM V6 in it. But this frame that came off of that red truck, that VIN says it's a Japanese truck. And in Isuzu's great wisdom, there are differences. So everything for the most part lined up. All the cab mounts, all the bed mounts. But the reason this boot is not on here is because if I actually set it in there and get it in right, I have no bottom, no reverse, no fourth, no second, because it pinches. So I got to keep it up like this when I'm driving it. I just push it down when I'm not to keep mice and other critters out. This one was the same way, but I cut more of the carpet around it to give it more room. Because I used to have, actually all I had was 4 high. I couldn't get into 2, and I definitely couldn't get down into 4. Now I just stuck it in neutral. There we go. Blower motor needs work. I think there's a rat nest in it or something. But not too bad for a little 4x4 farm truck. I know way too much about this truck that I'm willing to admit. Between electrical issues, that's the ECU, if you can call it that. It's more like just a body control module that also runs the injectors, because of course this being a, well, this engine's been around since before the 80s, I'm pretty sure, or variations of it. It's pretty much a 2.8 out of the minivans, but the block is a little different for mounting. But it's got throttle body injection. So that's the only thing that ECU runs, is those injectors. The distributor, coil, can all run by itself. It's got its own internal ignition module, if that's what you could call it. Another thing is the e-brake, as I showed in the start of this. does not work. These rear lines, this one that goes back to the caliper and the other one are seized up because this frame, those are the same ones that came with this 89 frame. The frame is pretty clean, but the guy that I bought it from had pictures on Facebook of him taking it on trails and going through mud and water and everything, so I'm sure it just sat and all the little rubber boots were rotted off, so it just, the cable seized up. So I gotta buy new ones of those, and it's also out of adjustment on the intermediate cable, I guess. Right there. It just splits between, and you can see it's frayed right there. When you pull on the e-brake, it pulls on this. I don't know if I'm getting a good picture or not. Oh, there it is. That little lever. It's just one cable from the front. Back here, pulls on that, pulls on those two, or it's one cable, but it's just wide, and then it pulls on both, but it doesn't move the back. I also need to bleed the brakes on this a lot better. And there's that. And now I'm not getting a good picture. Where is it? It's so dark. Here, right here. You can see this lever is what the cab pulls on, and that's tight because I've got that way out of adjustment. Evap's not hooked up because who the hell cares? Self-clearancing fan blades. It's always good. This looks like it has AC. Here's a compressor. Here's, lines, everything, but the condenser is not hooked up. That's also in my buddy's garage where we did most of the work on this. So if I wanted, it leaked when I first bought this truck back in 2018. The AC worked when I bought it because he charged it up, but as soon as I started driving it after I bought it, just went hot. So I would have had to do some work to get it to work anyway, and I don't really care because this is, again, a farm truck. In the summer, I roll the windows down. In the winter, if the exhaust didn't leak so bad, I'd keep the windows up and run the heat, but right now the blower motor's locked up. So, but the whole plan for today, so when we put this back together, it was right at springtime here in Virginia, so pretty warm, but we only put water in here. And some of it's burned off. When we took this motor out to do the whole frame swap, or put new head gaskets, new intake gaskets, it needed it bad. It was leaking. All these GMs leak, and the intake gasket's pretty bad after 20 years. Quite a few sitting. I know this truck sat for a while before I bought it. The original one, the 92. But it doesn't leak into the oil. Oil's pretty good. So that's all. When we first put it together, I got lucky that I don't usually say this, but I was smart enough to check the oil before we started it after we put coolant in it, and we did not get that water pump gasket where it should have been, so it leaked a bunch of coolant into the oil, but never ran like that, so we fixed that and then filled it back up, and everything's good now. It does leak. Can you tell why it leaks from that hose? Definitely not because it's zip tied on there. I don't know what I did with my battery holder, so that's my battery holder. But overall, fun project. We enjoyed it, but right now I need to put some high quality coolant in this thing. I only buy the best for this truck. Cheapest stuff on the shelf. We'll talk about that some other time. I know this is the main event that everyone wants to see. I don't know what it is about these trucks, but I love them. I don't see too many like this anymore. I'm not saying this is in factory condition, but there's not a whole lot left 4x4 V6. Granted, the V6 sucks gas down, so I think most people opted for the 2.6, or my dad had old 2.3, which is where I get the appeal of this truck from. It was that old two-wheel drive 95 that he bought before I was even born. So I learned stick on. We drove that thing all the way to Michigan from here one time. So when I saw this thing for sale, I just kind of impulse bought it. Took my friend with me to help me make a rational decision on it. And I vaguely remember him climbing up under it, exactly where that hole is on the frame. Right there. And he said, "Nope, looks good to me." So I bought the thing. And then about a day later, we climbed under it again. And yeah, started looking for a parts truck. I am gonna get the title for that one day, but it's not really up high on the to-do list. I also need to fix these headlights. Just recently found out I put these LEDs in, and I could only get one side to work, either high beam or I could switch the wires around and make a low beam, but I could never get them to switch with the selector on the dash. So I thought maybe the switch was bad, but I put a regular light back in it from that truck. Perks of a parts truck. And those work fine, so I know it's not the switch or the relay. So what it is a lot of these Japanese trucks, Toyotas, I know are bad for it. No one ever specifically said Isuzu, but it's a Japanese-based truck. The high beams are negative switch. So instead of sending positive to one side or switching positive to another side, there's one common wire and then two grounds, and that switch decides which ground is grounded. And these LEDs do not like that, but they sell kits online. Comes with two relays, and all you do is plug one side of it into this connector. I think they call it an H4 connector or something like that. And then you plug the other end into the lights. And when you switch the negative in the cab, or switch the high beam switch, it switches the negative, but between the relays and everything, then it does a switch with the positive like these lights want. So that's what I need to do. About 20 bucks, so I'll get it one day, but I also don't drive this thing at night, ever. I only take it out on the farm. Not my farm, I got 10 acres out here, but it's all exactly what you see, just trees. I mostly ride four-wheeler trails back there, but there's a local farm that lets me ride out on their pastures and watch over things, coyote hunting, groundhog hunting, the good stuff. But I'm gonna see how much coolant fits in here and then drain some out, fill it back up. Fun stuff. Another thing with this truck is this brake caliper sticks. It's been pretty good recently, but it was stuck on. We replaced this rotor from the rotor on that truck because this one was warped to hell. You could spin the wheel if you jacked it up, put this in free, which it's not right now, but you could spin it and it'd spin about this far and then stop, and you couldn't get any further. You'd spin it the other way, stop. And we put this rotor on it. seemed a lot better, but then that caliper, which is off the 89, which that guy, you know, beat the hell out of probably, it just kind of squeezed on it for a little bit. It ended up, it's pretty free right now, but sometimes I'll drive it and you can smell some brakes. This wheel bearing is also, when we took it apart, this rotor is behind the wheel bearing. Well, all this four-wheel, like, you have to take all this off the brake, obviously, but, you know, some vehicles, like that Tahoe over there, you just take the wheel off the brake caliper, and you can slide that rotor off. But this one, it's behind all this, it's bolted in, so you gotta dig down behind, take this off, take a bunch of other pieces off to get to it. So it's a pain in the ass, but when we put it back together, I just kind of guessed at the preload on that bearing. Turns out guessing it doesn't work too well because it was screaming. And I took it back apart recently. Bearing's all loose in there. Spindle didn't look bad. It didn't tear anything up, but I put it back together a little loose, but I need to get the right tool to put that back on and preload it correctly and get a new bearing, obviously. I don't want to die. That's one thing with these piles of garbage is gotta make sure you can turn, gotta make sure you can hit the brakes. If the engine stops, that's fine, as long as you can stop after that. And this thing's so light you don't even need the booster as bad, but it's nice to have. So we'll get this coolant in there, and what happens, happens. Much better. This is gonna be bad. Oh, if I can even get it apart. Oh shit. Who did this? Probably me. Oh, this is bad. I might not be able to get this out. Damn. I need some pliers. Alright. Can we break this little nozzle off? Oh, can I even get to it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, somebody put that on way too tight. Alright. It's about to make a huge mess. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Get it everywhere. Oh, it actually looks kind of green, so that's good. It's getting kind of cold. It hit 32 the other night. I was getting kind of worried about this thing. But I'm also not about, you guys are getting covered in some nice antifreeze. It's a good thing this thing's waterproof. Or at least I think it is. It is a GoPro. Alright, take two. Wait, hold on. Let's put some brain matter into the equation. There. I never claimed to be really smart. Alright. Take two. I'm not even letting it go full pour. Oh yeah, get it everywhere. I don't know if this thing even needs this, because that looks pretty green. And I'm making a huge ass mess that my dogs are gonna love. The local wildlife will definitely love. Nah, I don't care about the squirrels. All they do is make messes and chew up our wiring, and the birds shit all over my cars. But for the PETA folks, I'll clean this up. In case you were wondering, I only buy the eco-friendly antifreeze. Ah, shit. It's alright. We're good. Shit. I need to start this thing up and run it a bit. Fill it while it's running. We'll try it, but no promises. Let me move all this shit out of the way. This thing shakes pretty bad when you start it, but runs pretty smooth after that. We'll see how the GoPro holds up. I need this funnel. Oh, this is dangerous. Oh, man. How many people can do that one-handed and not spill any? I don't think it matters anymore. honestly don't know what happened to that fan. We had that shroud attached, what I thought was okay, but oh yeah, look how green it's turning. I'd say that's about a perfect 50-50. It's also pouring out of it. All right. Some bubbles out. Should be filling this overflow back here, which I haven't opened since I bought the truck, so who knows what's in here. I can't even open it. It might be a little stupid. Well, I guess we'll never find out. That fan looks like shit. Oh, see, look, it's working. You guys thought I was just gonna leave that shit on the ground. Big bubble's still coming out. There we go. That drip down there. Yeah, that exhaust leak's pretty bad, but it is what it is. We'll get to that when we get to it, I guess. Covered in antifreeze, which is really good. Really good. No park brake. Never had one and I still reach for it. needs like parking brake, that brake. Hood latch needs to be fixed pretty bad. Those will probably stay like that forever. Damn it. see any major leaks, so not bad. Also, this is the same radiator, 4-cylinder, exact same radiator. That's what came out of it. If that doesn't tell you how much power this thing puts out. Fun. Got some big projects for that thing too. We're gonna get that back on the road. That's the 4-wheeler I beat the shit out of all the time. Fiance's car. I call it the GTR. 02 Corvette. Daily driver. I keep this to remind myself it doesn't work. A DRZ in here. This thing needs work too. I need a battery for it. Need a new chain tensioner. It's a cool bike though. Anyway, better get back to some of the other more important things. I'm out.